Mario, welcome into the podcast. It's great to have you here today.
My pleasure, Brett. Thanks for having me.
Yes, well, I am excited to chat with you. And as I know, and our listeners know, you are a racing legend. And it's so great to be able to talk to you. And this last year has just been absolutely crazy. And just like I've asked a lot of other people, how has this time been for you? What has been keeping you busy and keeping you occupied while you've been stuck in the house?
Well, I've been busy in a different way, obviously, like many other people, but I have at least a Zoom almost every day, somewhere in the world. And I can travel between Argentina and Belgium without a passport with a Zoom, as you can imagine. And, in motorsports, you have press and journalists around the world that are interested in discussing things, what's up in the future, and whether it's Formula One, IndyCar, sports prototypes, or whatever. And I'm pretty much up on all of that. And so again, it's my time has been occupied, like I said, in a different way, but it's not as much travel, of course, but all of that is changing rapidly now. And so we're looking forward to getting back to what we knew. I don't want to hear new normal. I just want to hear normal.
Yeah, I like that. I think that term new normal to me is weird. I just want it to be normal again. So I can imagine you're probably excited, as you just alluded to get back out on the road and just start traveling and connecting with people again for sure.
Well, we have started already. Already we have 3 races under our belt in IndyCar, and I participate in all of that, in a different way. I think, in fact, you see the car right on my shoulder, the 2-seater. I drive that at every one of the IndyCar events, and but besides, my son has 4 cars enter at every one of the IndyCars, and right now he just announced he's going to have 6 cars entered at the Indianapolis 500, which is our next venue. And so a lot going, from a family standpoint, and again, between Indy cars and my NASCAR friends, I stay quite busy. Believe me, my plate is pretty full.
There's no such thing as retirement for you. You're like going constantly.
I always say, whenever I retire, just put me in a box.
Well,
the box better have wheels on it.
Yeah, at least 4, right? That's funny. And what kind of engine? It has to have a good engine at least, to keep you going.
Yeah, make sure it's at least over 800 horsepower, so.
It's incredible as we joke, but to even be able to, comprehend what you've done in your lifetime, to have raced as much as you've raced and done all the things that you've done. But you mentioned your son is very heavily involved in this industry as well. So for you, then has to be an honor to even have him carry on your name.
Well, it's more than even an honor. It's a lot of pride that goes with it because, Michael is very ambitious and he had shown that as a driver and now as a team owner. And as you can see, he's been fielding, numbers of cars in different categories, different disciplines, primarily Indy cars, and then all the supporting series. Plus, he's in rally sport. I mean, he's in sports cars. He's in Formula E in Europe. He has a team in Australia with. United Autos. No, in Australia, there's yeah. Anyway, he's widespread, no question, and I love that. I love his ambition, and he's one somewhere around the world he's winning races. You know, there were 2 weekends ago, we were in St. Pete in Florida, and he won races in the supporting series. He won the main race, the IndyCar, and then he won earlier that day, of course, in Spain. They won the Formula E race. So that always goes very well, you know, with the mood of the day, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And you know, and this works as far as the pride is concerned, you know, from my standpoint, just to see him doing what he loves and being successful at it.
Yeah, I can imagine. As a father myself, you know, I think one of the greatest desires is to have your children follow in your footsteps and to do the same things that you do, or at least have some of the same interests, but really to be able to just even encourage and stoke the fires in them for whatever it is that they're passionate about. So obviously we know your story and how you got started, but as you became a father and he got older, did he naturally gravitate towards racing because he was probably traveling with you quite a bit, I would imagine?
Well, that's really it. You know, he was exposed to this environment, you know, as he's the oldest of the three children that I have. But again, at the age of 9, Michael, I put him in a go-kart. I said, what do you think? You know, I just to try to assess the situation early enough. I set up a course behind a local high school, and he went at it and looked like you know, duck. It took like a duck to water, you know, for some reason, and from there, you know, it just he progressed into you know, some of the other categories, and he just loved it. He just loved what he was doing. I think I made a point by saying to him, and also my younger son Jeff, if you're going to pursue this, I want you to have fun and enjoy it, and don't do it just because you think that I might want you to do it. I'm pretty sure I made that clear. It makes me feel better if you know, think that way. But yeah, because there was going to be outside pressure on these kids, you know, but again, you know, Michael, his career showed that he especially was very much more fortunate than Jeff. Jeff had some, you know, he had an accident at Indianapolis in '91 that was 91 or 92 that, you know, pretty much determined his career. But nevertheless, overall, as I said, as a family, you know, we all grew up in this environment, and the kids be making the best of it. And I have I had a twin brother, unfortunately passed away a couple of months ago. But there are 4 drivers, race drivers on each side of the family. And we have a 3rd generation going on both sides of the family. So as you can see, you know, Aldo and I started this mess, and it just progressed. But you know, motor racing has been so great for us overall. You know, and we don't take anything for granted. Believe me, because you know, from my standpoint, I've been so fortunate. The safety aspect was not, you know, what we're enjoying today. You know, through the decades that I was, especially at the beginning of my career, but was able to dodge so many bullets, and so the sport became extremely rewarding to me personally, for sure. And along the way, you know, some of the rest of my family too.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a legacy there as far as what you all have done and accomplished. But when you look back at all of this, Mario, and go, man, this industry has been, you know, so kind and so fortunate to all of us. Do you have any moments where you go, you know, if I had it to do over again, I would have done something differently? Not necessarily regret, but just going, hey, this is a lesson that I learned along the way. And if I had it to do over again, or maybe you did it with your children as they grew up and decided to take an interest in your business.
Well, for sure, Brett. I mean, it's when you look back, I said, "Oh, I wish I knew then what I know now."
Of
Of
course.
course, if I was able to, not just the driving aspect, but some decisions, perhaps, But overall, however, when I examine everything and I reflect on my life as a race driver, um, I can only be happy, and again, no regrets whatsoever. Not everything is a bed of roses, So along the way, even through some difficulties, I think you become stronger, and gives you a reason to learn and overcome, some obstacles, if you will. So overall, as I say, life is never perfect, and I think I've lived that. I've been on both sides of it, and but again, overall, the sport has been just incredibly good for me, and it's a sport that can be quite cruel, quite honestly, as we all know. But overall, it's been totally positive, really.
Yeah, I could say so. I mean, without blemish, really, which is a lot to say. And it's interesting, if I would have done things differently, I think I might have even felt that a couple days ago, recently. So it can affect you, without even thinking that way, but it's like, boom, there it is. But you've just done so much, and everything that you've done, you've been a part of the sport for decades. I know, obviously, when you started out, things were different as far as how people got started and became racers. But look at now, how has the sport changed, as far as getting into it, and people who are trying to make it into it today versus from when you got started? It's obviously different, but is it different for good, or is it different just no matter what, or no matter how you look at it?
Well, obviously, you have to expect this. The sport has evolved in so many ways, and primarily because it's such a technical sport too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, when you go to baseball, the bat hasn't changed very much. Of course, it got better. Golf, okay, the clubs got a little better, this and that, but it's primarily a lot of the same thing, and it's about your swing, um, and in our business, it's much more complicated because the race car, the way the race car was 50 years ago, 60 years ago, it's quite different. But the human side basically is the same. And by that, I mean, the job of the driver was always to extract 100% of what the race car could give you. And so there was a limit then, and there's a limit now. The limit today is a little higher, mainly because the tool is more refined. But overall, I always say, as much as things change, they remain the same. There's a human element that still prevails, in my opinion. And yes, you have the technology, you have data, you have all the information. When the car is running, the engineer that's following, is getting telemetry, is getting information of everything that's happening in the car, so it can keep you informed. But other than that, still the driver has the control of this vehicle 100%. And the computer will never drive the car.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you're looking for, as in any sport, you're always looking for any possible advantage that you could achieve by having more knowledge and more depth, in the vehicle and what you're doing, and also the strategies. But at the same time, as I say, things remain the same in so many ways. The human element is so important because of the team effort that is necessary to be able to perform in our business. It's not just the driver, it's the engineers, it's a crew member, the crew that services you, in the pits. Any small mistake, obviously you pay for it. Or if the crew can get you out, to a second quicker than your competitor, it's a second you don't have to gain on the track and all of that. All of these aspects, are part of it. Again, and the biggest satisfaction, like when you're successful on that particular day, everybody, you're not alone. You got a big group behind you that's cheering, happy and proud. That's what goes on, in our business. And the biggest reward that I really ultimately got was to see the smile, the pride that the crew members felt, feeling that we're all winners. We're all winners, and we all win or lose together. We don't want to talk about losing. We want to talk about winning, because like I said, that's the ultimate reward for a lot of hard work. But it's in our sport, never to forget, is team with a capital T.
Yeah, I think teamwork is one of the benchmarks of what you do. Although you might be in the car, it's everybody else behind you. That term, it takes a village, I think is very true in your industry, because without them, you wouldn't be where you are, and I think what I like about that is that you're very honest about that. And you're like, some sports figures might not give credit where credit is due, but you very openly do that, which I think is great.
Well, here again, it's you're not alone. I mean, you can parallel this with, say, football. The driver is the quarterback, and but if you don't have receivers, you don't have a front line defending you and all of that, you're not going to be able to execute. So, like I said, team, and when we win, there's a lot of people are happy. People that have been working and contributing are happy with you. So that's it, and that's what keeps you going. That's what, when you win, you want more. There's nothing better than that, and like Vince Lombardi used to say, winning is not the only thing. I mean, that's not just the thing, it's the only thing, so.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it sounds like a great career you've had. And just winding the clock back a little bit, even for you when you were younger, this is something that you were naturally drawn to, like it was almost instantaneous for you.
Yes, in fact, I always say, and I keep saying, that when I fell in love with the sport when I was very young, I was just a young teenager, 10 or 11. And even though it seemed like the impossible dream at the time, I never had a plan B, and by that, I mean that I pursued that, along the way as I grew older and so forth. Always had this objective to just get something going, get something started. And I had my twin brother alongside of me that had the same dreams, same passion. And that's it. And somehow it all came true, and when I go back, pinch myself as to how everything just developed. Just give you a quick, for instance, the first big international race that I ever attended was in 1954 at age 14, when I was still living in Italy. It was the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. And just there for the first time, I saw my idol, Alberto Ascari, driving a Ferrari and so forth. And I said, oh my goodness, someday I want to be like Ascari, and as the Lord would have it, I clinched the world championship right there in Monza, in 1978, do the math, and many years later, not that many years later. So again, like I said, going back at everything that's happened in my life, yes, I have a lot to be thankful. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I would say so. One last question here as we wrap things up. Just looking at your life and all the success you've had Well, two questions. Number one, what do you think makes Mario successful, and how do you define success for yourself?
Well, I think it's simple. It begins with love and passion of what you want to pursue. I could not imagine doing anything else in my life professionally that could have given me more satisfaction, and that's it. That's what drove me throughout, not accepting failure in any way, working hard, whatever, giving it whatever I could, to make things happen. So again, it was just the burning passion is what drove me throughout.
I love it. Well, a successful career you've had, and I think it's great due to the power of technology and YouTube, where we can go and just watch, Mr. Andretti, some of the amazing races that you've had. And just, I mean, do you realize that you're such a pop culture icon? It's crazy. That has to be so humbling for you to even think that people look at you in that way. It's unbelievable.
Well, it is, but again, I've been so fortunate. I raced in 6 continents, in my career. And I was on podium in all 6 continents, at least once, So again, because of that, we have, widespread following. Motorsports is a global sport, and because of that, it's so wonderful that even, with today's social media and so forth, we communicate with people from, all over. It's amazing. Even your Twitter followers, it's, oh God, Russia, Cambodia, a lot of places you don't think that the sport would be in Russia. It is, quite popular, but some other places, and yet people follow. So it's gratifying, totally gratifying, of course.
I love it. Well, best of luck to you. Excited to see again what the future holds for your industry. I love NASCAR. I love watching racing, and my son is 6, and I'm trying to get him interested in watching it as well. He likes watching the cars spin around. I live in the Bay Area, so hopefully one of these days we can get out to the Sonoma Raceway and I can let him watch people do, yes, what you do best. Mario, thank you for joining me today. It's been an honor.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Brett, for sure.